Hell yeah. Well, fuck you. Hey, babe, have you seen my can opener? Okay, thank you. Well, that was the thing. Yeah. Well, tomorrow we got to practice. Yeah, tomorrow's Wing Chun. Yeah, I'm gonna go take. I'm gonna take Kevin over to the park. We're gonna practice some Wing Chun applications. Yeah, he's. Yeah, I think he's about ready to advance to the next. Yeah. Yeah, give him a call. Yeah, give him a call in the morning. Tell him we got practice around 11. Yep. All right. Thanks, babe. Do do do. Do do do. Let this thing load up here. All right. I don't know who's up late, so just finally got some free time, so let this load up for a bit. I don't know who's up right now, but yeah. Shit. Give me 1 second. Yo, what's up? All right. Yeah. Yeah, I said practice was. Yeah. It's at 11 tomorrow, I said. All right. All right, bye. Jesus. What don't you get? Practice is at 11. Wing Chun practice, 11 o'clock. It's not rocket science. Ooh. All right, guys. So I got a little spot. Like, I just received some disturbing news from an article my friend sent me, and it's the and I've been talking about this for years about artificial intelligence, right? Everybody called me crazy when I was talking about artificial intelligence taking over, and it's finally coming to fruition. They've talked about it in the Matrix movies. Everybody laughed. They put this in plain sight how they were going to be creating AI robots that are humans. They've talked about this through the Matrix movies, the Terminator movies. Everybody called me crazy. They said, oh, that's just Hollywood. That's just, that's a movie. Well, blah, blah. Scientists have created AI, artificial intelligent robots, aka androids, that can reproduce. You say, well, how can they scientifically possibly do that? Well, I'm glad you asked, young Padawan. I have to just leave the top off. Now, they're called xenobots, right? Xenobots. They've created this thing called xenobots, right? Basically, what these xenobots are, it's a synthetic. They took synthetic heart cells, and they took synthetic heart cells from, and they made this. They put a computer. They made a program, a synthetic thing on a computer. It's called xenobots. And what they did was scientists, they took heart and stem cells from a wild craw frog. And they took these cells out, and they took these cells from the frog. They went to a lab, and see, you know how everybody told me I was crazy for cloning? Say, oh, cloning's not real. I'm not so crazy now, am I? This makes cloning. Because, see, all you do with cloning is you just reproduce another human being of the same, you just reproduce another human being of the same DNA. This is just beyond playing God. This is just like doing some fucked up shit. And really, what it is they're half human, and they're not even really half human. They're half human, half android. But really, they're not even human because they're taking these stem cells, the xenobots, they're taking them from a frog, and then they're making these heart cells and transfusing them into this program which makes synthetic cells, right? Meaning these robots they're having the genes of a human, but they're not human. Now, they've talked about this in a plethora of movies. I, Robot, Terminator. And see, the thing is, like, this shit is going to really set off the AI. Like, this is it. Like, because, see, once these programs keep reproducing, they're going to take over the human population. Like, that's just what they're going to do. They're already doing it. That's why we have a lot of these artificial Mach 5. And that's another thing, too. You remember when I was talking about the Mach 5 robots, the pro boxers, the athletes? This is what they are. These Mach 5 robots, this is what they are. They're half human, or they have the genes of life, but they're half android. This is what they are. These Mach 5 robots, they can bleed, sweat, they can breathe, like they can. This is what they are, right? And so a lot of this is just going into place with the New World Order, like Bill Gates, all that. They're trying to, depopulation. They want to replace humans with artificial intelligence. This is what the plan is. Like I said, the Matrix, I keep saying this, the Matrix was a documentary. They've talked about this in the Matrix. They've talked about this. That's what the Matrix was all about. It was the war against the elites creating these artificial intelligent beings to take over the human population. Still don't think we live in a simulation? Let's check this out. You say, well, here's another thing. You say, well, why did they use a frog? Actually, we're going to get to that. 1 second.
More Christmas cards? Christmas cards. Merry Christmas to you, too.
Story list for the show. 2 unusual headlines caught our attention. 2 very interesting yet frightening stories.
Listen to this.
The first one was about self-replicating robots. Robots that can reproduce, create copies of themselves, make babies like humans do. Robots. The second story was about a tech firm which is offering money to people to have their faces imprinted on robots to create what they call robots with human faces.
I might actually do that. I don't know. But if you look like if you're a fat ugly internet troll they're not going to accept your offer. So I have a few people in mind that if you even try doing that offer, they're going to deny you.
Now, I don't want to jump to conclusions or question the intention of the scientists involved. But it's hard to not ask this question. Have these people never read science fiction? They're creating robots that
Because science fiction isn't really science fiction, it's actually reality. See, they lied to you and said science fiction was just, you know, science fiction is real.
can multiply, and machines that will look like us. What could possibly go wrong? Well,
They predicted this in that movie Robot with Will Smith.
that's the question we'll try to answer tonight, because they've not been able to answer it themselves.
Well, it's just a movie.
As we decode the many dangers involved with such experiments and understand the many adverse consequences they can lead to. We'll begin with the reproductive robots. They're being nurtured in the United States. Scientists have
Hope you guys can understand this chick too.
created robots that can produce an offspring. They're calling them xenobots. This is what they look like. These tiny organisms that you see, these spherical clumps, they're xenobots. And they're not made of metal or plastic.
See?
They've been created from biological tissues, which essentially makes them living robots. Robots that can move on their own, heal on their own, and now, of course, reproduce on their own.
As you're going to hear in a second, they got that from the frog. I don't know if you guys... we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
How exactly were they created? By assembling stem cells from embryos into synthetic life forms. Allow me to explain. I know it sounds complicated. In order to design these xenobots, scientists first created random 3D designs on a supercomputer, like the one that you see. Simulated blocks of skin and heart
I wonder what that supercomputer is.
cells that can move on their own. These blocks or configurations were then assigned tasks through an algorithm. What kind of tasks? Like walking in a certain direction, basic things. The most promising configurations here, the ones that perform the tasks well, were then taken to a lab to be injected with life. Life taken from African clawed frog.
AKA a cloning lab.
These toads that you see, they're the source of life in xenobots. This species is found in sub-Saharan Africa. It can regenerate its skin when wounded. So this is what scientists did. Take out skin and heart cells from the embryos of these organisms and then inject them into 3D blocks
You hear
through
that?
tweezers and electric tools. Once injected, these blocks were kept in dishes of water to keep the frog cells alive.
Now you heard that, right? You say, well, why did they use stem cells from the embryonic? Why did they use embryonic stem cells, heart cells from the frog? Because frogs, people don't know this about frogs, but frogs actually have, in essence, frogs can't get diseases. They can't, see, if you took a knife and you cut a frog, within 2 minutes, that frog's already going to be healed because they have regenerative stem cells, aka they can heal themselves. So if you cut a frog, within 30 minutes to 30 seconds, he's going to heal up already. This is in a frog. They can heal themselves. Like they can, you would have to in essence, you would have to take out the heart of a frog to kill it because they can heal themselves. Regenerative traits, regeneration, and that's another thing too. They predicted that that I don't know if you've seen that Marvel movie. It's called The Hulk, but when his father was making it, and that's another thing. I told you that. See, that's more predictive programming. They predicted that in the movie too, where the father, the scientist, is in the lab, and he's taking a frog, he's taking the cells out, and that's how he made the antidote to create the Hulk. Wow. See, they were already putting this predictive programming in movies before. That's why when you see the Hulk, he's got these superpowers. When you shoot him, he heals up. You can't kill him. Guy can fly. You know what I mean? That's why they take these cells from these animals, because the animals have special cells where they can heal themselves. Which actually, this is good. This is gonna make it even more dangerous, because now you're gonna have these synthetic androids out that have cells of a fucking toad, and you're not gonna be able to take these things out. Yeah, in essence, yeah, right. In essence, um, they're making superhuman androids. Why do you think they didn't take the cells from a human being? Because humans can't have no regeneration. They can't heal themselves. And as you're gonna hear later in the video, these beings, they have like they can heal cancer cells, which they could already heal cancer anyway. But these guys, you won't get any diseases. They can heal cancer, AIDS, all this shit. Check the comment section out. Oh, Stanley, what up, bro? That's why people lick toes now. Shout out to Mike Tyson. What's up, Jessica Nameless? Frogs are basically Jeffrey Epstein in animal form. Uh, yeah, Jessica, I'm gonna have to delete that comment, bro. Coach Eli Coach Eli is a great person, and that's a good friend of mine. We're not gonna be bashing my friend Coach Eli in this chat. You got one more warning, Jessica. You violate that warning again, you're gonna be blocked from this channel. There's gonna be nobody bashing Coach Eli in this channel. Anyway.
And they did stay alive. And all of this was done in 2020. Not only are these creatures alive and kicking, they're reproducing. They're creating copies of themselves, just like molecules do. So what are they doing? First, they release loose cells, then they smush them into clusters, swash them with water.
See, I've talked about this stuff before. See, like in the Bible it said, there's nothing new under the sun. We have scientists that can do this shit. Like, scientists in essence, because a lot of these scientists came from Egypt. In Egypt they could do a lot of this shit. Do you know in Egypt they had androids and robots? There was. Do you know they made robots in Egypt? We've had scientists that could do this shit. You know. That's why people when I talked about cloning labs. Oh, that's not possible. You can't clone another human being. But yet they're making robots. They're making artificial intelligence half human.
And if the cluster is large enough, within a few days it takes a new life. It evolves into a child xenobot. Does sound like a fun experiment, but the question is, what's the point of it? What are these xenobots for? What are they going to do? Here's a human question for these living robots. What is their purpose? The scientists are yet to decide. They're not sure how these xenobots can be used. But
Cap, they know how they can be used. They already have an idea of how they want to use them.
they've suggested some immediate applications. Here's what they can do. Collect microplastics from waterways, or wipe away cancerous cells in...
See, they got that from the frog cells of regeneration.
Inside the human body. And these are all suggestions. Suffice to say, the scientists themselves do not know at this point. Now consider this. Right now, these organisms are reproducing. Tomorrow, they could grow nervous systems, develop a cognitive ability, take decisions on their own. And if you've seen science fiction films, you'd probably know how this ends. Not well. We're creating independent life from animals.
Yeah, in essence, you're making beings that have their own conscience, and you know, in essence, you're not gonna be able, when these things are fully produced, you're not gonna be able to control them. Like I said, you're basically making a suit. You know, it's like almost Cyborg from the Justice League. In essence, you're making cyborgs. You're making real life cyborgs.
Tissue. Microscopic robots that can reproduce. Forget about them going rogue or evolving into something dangerous. Just imagine what happens if they end up in the wrong hands. And I'll tell you why I'm asking this question. Because this experiment, the one that I just told you about, was partially funded by the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. It's a federal American agency that oversees technological innovation for military use.
Military use. You hear that, right?
Need I explain further? The involvement of the military in such a scientific project does not inspire trust. Neither does imprinting human faces on robots. Not a good idea. That's another thing we want to discuss. A tech firm is gearing up to launch a new line of human-looking robots. Robots with a quote-unquote friendly face.
I see. I guess you guys get the drift of where this is going. Now, they said they created they started doing this in the lab during the lockdown of 2020, right? So they're pretty much done now. Like they've, like I said, they've had these for years. Like they're just coming out, and they're just coming out with it now. They're not afraid to hide it no more. They've had these for years now. So I mean, like I said, all I could do is advise people to go back and watch The Matrix, and you won't be able to understand the films until you unplug. What do we got here? Is she still talking shit in there? Hey, what's good, Stanley? All right, that's it. Yo, it's probably not even a real girl. It's probably fucking the wife staying in check, bro. Yeah, she's watching Netflix right now, bro.